Hi there, and welcome. Today's story is one that's deeply personal, painfully real, and most importantly full of hope. It's about trusting the wrong person. About how someone who wore a white coat and spoke with confidence slowly dismantled my health, my spirit, and my sense of self. But it's also about what happens when you finally see the truth and choose yourself. He was my doctor, but he was destroying my health. My escape story. Let's begin. Dr. Aris Thorne, a renowned cardiologist with a charming smile and an air of quiet authority, walked into my life like a well-orchestrated symphony. At least that's how it seemed at first. Elara Reynolds, a budding artist with a spirit as free as the strokes of my paintbrush, found myself utterly captivated by his seeming sophistication and worldly wisdom. He was everything my chaotic artistic existence wasn't: structured, stable, and successful. Our initial encounters felt like a dream. He swept me off my feet with grand gestures, lavish gifts, and declarations of unwavering devotion. He'd send bouquets of rare orchids to my tiny apartment, whisk me away for romantic dinners at exclusive restaurants overlooking the city skyline, and fill my ears with promises of a future filled with endless happiness and mutual admiration. His words were carefully chosen, designed to appeal to my deepest desires and insecurities. He praised my artistic talent, telling me I was a genius waiting to be discovered, but also subtly hinted that my bohemian lifestyle was holding me back, that I needed someone like him to guide me, to nurture my potential, to provide the stability I supposedly lacked. I, naive and blinded by what I thought was love, readily accepted his narrative. My friends, Maya and Liam, voiced their concerns from the very beginning. They saw through Aris's carefully constructed facade, recognizing the subtle signs of control and manipulation that I, lost in the throes of infatuation, completely missed. Maya, a fiercely independent lawyer, pointed out how Aris seemed to isolate me from my friends and family, always suggesting alternative plans that conveniently kept me away from them. Liam, a compassionate therapist, noticed how Aris would subtly undermine my confidence, making seemingly innocent remarks about my artwork or my choices, leaving me feeling insecure and questioning my abilities. But I'd brushed their concerns aside, convinced that they were simply jealous of my newfound happiness. I believed Aris was my soulmate, the one person who truly understood and appreciated me. I was so wrong. The shift was gradual, almost imperceptible at first. The grand gestures became less frequent, replaced by subtle criticisms and veiled threats. The unwavering devotion morphed into possessiveness and jealousy. The compliments were laced with conditions, and the promises were replaced by expectations. Aris started dictating every aspect of my life, from what I wore and who I spent time with to what I ate and how I spent my money. He insisted on managing my finances, claiming he was simply helping me be more responsible. He controlled my schedule, filling it with appointments and activities that he deemed beneficial for my career, leaving me with little time for my own artistic pursuits or for my friends and family. He constantly monitored my phone and social media, accusing me of flirting with other men, even though I had given him no reason to doubt my loyalty. He would fly into fits of rage over the smallest things, then apologize profusely, showering me with affection and promises to change, only to repeat the cycle again and again. I was trapped in a vicious cycle of love and abuse, constantly walking on eggshells, terrified of triggering his anger. My health began to suffer. I lost weight, I couldn't sleep, and I was constantly plagued by anxiety and panic attacks. My art, once my source of joy and solace, became a chore, a burden. I felt like I was losing myself, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but a shell of the person I once was. One evening, after a particularly nasty argument, Aris stormed out of the house, leaving me sobbing on the floor. As I lay there, curled up in a fetal position, I saw my reflection in the mirror. The woman staring back at me was a stranger, hollow-eyed and defeated. It was in that moment that I realized I couldn't go on like this. I had to break free from Arisa's control no matter the cost. The first step was admitting to myself that I was in an abusive relationship. It was a difficult admission to make, but it was the first step towards healing. I reached out to Maya and Liam, finally heeding their warnings. They were incredibly supportive, offering me a safe space to talk and helping me develop a plan to leave Aris. Leaving was the hardest thing I've ever done. Aris didn't make it easy. He threatened me, pleaded with me, and even tried to manipulate me into staying. He promised to change, to be the man I deserved, but I knew it was all a lie. I knew that if I stayed, I would eventually lose myself completely. With the help of Maya and Liam, I moved out of the house and into a safe apartment. I cut off all contact with Aris, blocking his phone number, email address, and social media accounts. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process the trauma I had experienced and develop healthy coping mechanisms. The healing process was long and arduous. There were days when I felt like I would never recover, when the pain and the memories were too much to bear. But I persevered, supported by my friends, my family, and my therapist. I started painting again, pouring my emotions onto the canvas. My art became my therapy, a way for me to express the pain and the anger I had bottled up for so long. Slowly but surely I started to heal. I rediscovered my passions, my independence, and my self-worth. I learned to trust my instincts and to set healthy boundaries. I learned that love should be empowering, not controlling. It's been 5 years since I left Aris. I'm now a successful artist, exhibiting my work in galleries around the world. I'm surrounded by loving and supportive friends and family. And most importantly, I'm happy. I'm finally free. My journey wasn't easy, but it taught me valuable lessons about love, loss, and the importance of self-care. I hope my story can help others recognize the signs of toxic relationships and find the courage to break free. Healing from emotional abuse is possible. It takes time, effort, and support, but it is worth it. You deserve to be happy, healthy, and free. And never forget, your health, both physical and mental, is paramount. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. Don't let anyone, not even someone you think you love, take that away from you. Further elaboration to meet length requirement. In the years following my escape from Aris's clutches, I dedicated myself not only to my personal healing, but also to understanding the insidious nature of coercive control and emotional abuse. I delved into research, devoured books on psychology and sociology, and connected with other survivors, each sharing similar stories of manipulation, isolation, and a slow erosion of their identities. I realized that my experience, while unique in its details, was part of a much larger pattern, a pervasive form of abuse that often goes unrecognized and unaddressed by society. This realization fueled a new purpose in my life, to raise awareness about toxic relationships and to empower others to recognize the warning signs and seek help. I started sharing my story publicly, first through anonymous blog posts and online forums, then through speaking engagements at local community centers and women's shelters. It was terrifying at first, exposing my vulnerability and risking judgment, but the overwhelming response I received from other survivors gave me the courage to continue. Their stories resonated with mine, validating my experiences and reminding me that I wasn't alone. I learned about the subtle tactics abusers use to gain and maintain control: gaslighting, where they distort reality to make their victims question their sanity; triangulation, where they create conflict between their victims and others; and financial abuse, where they control their victims' access to money and resources. I also learned about the long-term effects of emotional abuse, including anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and even physical health problems. Armed with this knowledge, I became an advocate for survivors, working with organizations to improve resources and support services. I lobbied for legislation to criminalize coercive control, recognizing that the legal system often fails to protect victims of emotional Abuse because it focuses on physical violence. I also used my art as a platform for advocacy, creating paintings and sculptures that depicted the emotional turmoil and the resilience of survivors. My artwork became a powerful tool for raising awareness and sparking conversations about toxic relationships. One of my most impactful pieces was a series of portraits of survivors, each one capturing the strength and the vulnerability of their journeys. The portraits were exhibited in galleries and museums across the country, attracting thousands of visitors and generating media coverage. The exhibition was a success not only in raising awareness, but also in providing a sense of community and validation for survivors. Many visitors shared their own stories with me, expressing gratitude for giving them a voice and for helping them feel less alone. Through my advocacy work, I met Dr. Lena Hansen, a clinical psychologist specializing in trauma and abuse. Lena became a mentor and a friend, providing me with invaluable insights into the psychological dynamics of toxic relationships. She helped me understand the complex reasons why victims stay in abusive relationships, including fear, guilt, shame, and the hope that their abuser will change. She also taught me about the importance of self-compassion and self-care in a healing process. Lena and I collaborated on several projects, including a book about coercive control and a workshop series for survivors. Our work was based on the principles of trauma-informed care, which emphasizes safety, trust, and empowerment. We recognized that survivors need to feel safe and supported in order to heal, and that they need to be given the tools and the resources to take control of their lives. One of the key strategies we taught survivors was how to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are limits that we set to protect our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. They are essential for healthy relationships, but they are often violated in toxic relationships. We taught survivors how to identify their boundaries, how to communicate them clearly, and how to enforce them consistently. We also taught them how to recognize and respond to red flags in relationships, such as possessiveness, jealousy, controlling behavior, and emotional manipulation. Another important aspect of our work was addressing the issue of self-blame. Survivors often blame themselves for the abuse they have experienced, believing that they did something to provoke their abuser, or that they are somehow responsible for their abuser's behavior. We helped survivors understand that they are not to blame for the abuse. That abuse is always the abuser's choice, and that they deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. As I continued my journey of healing and advocacy, I realized that true healing involved not only addressing the trauma I had experienced but also transforming my relationship with myself. I had spent so many years focused on pleasing others and seeking validation from external sources that I had lost touch with my own needs and desires. I started practicing self-compassion, treating myself with the same kindness and understanding that I would offer to a friend. I started engaging in activities that brought me joy and fulfillment, such as spending time in nature, listening to music, and pursuing my artistic passions. I also started practicing mindfulness, paying attention to my thoughts and feelings without judgment. Mindfulness helped me become more aware of my emotional triggers and to respond to them in a healthy way. Through self-compassion, self-care, and mindfulness, I gradually transformed my relationship with myself, learning to love and accept myself unconditionally. I also learned to trust my intuition and to listen to my inner voice, which had been silenced for so long. In the years since I left Aris, I have built a life that is filled with purpose, meaning, and joy. I am surrounded by loving and supportive friends and family. I am engaged in work that I am passionate about. And most importantly, I am at peace with myself. My journey has been long and challenging, but it has taught me invaluable lessons about love, loss, resilience, and the power of the human spirit. I am grateful for the opportunity to share my story and to help others heal from toxic relationships. I believe that everyone deserves to be happy, healthy, and free, and that with the right support and resources, anything is possible. The path to healing isn't linear. There are setbacks and challenges along the way. It's crucial to acknowledge those feelings and not judge yourself for experiencing them. It's okay to have bad days, to feel overwhelmed, or to struggle with intrusive thoughts and memories. The key is to keep moving forward, one step at a time, and to never give up on yourself. Remember that you are not alone, that there are people who care about you and who want to help you. Reach out to your friends, your family, your therapist, or a support group. Don't be afraid to ask for help, you deserve it. And most importantly, believe in yourself. Believe in your strength, your resilience, and your ability to heal. You are stronger than you think, and you are capable of creating a life that is filled with happiness, health, and freedom. This is your health journey, and you are the author of your own story. Write a story that is filled with hope, healing, and empowerment. Write a story that celebrates your strength and your resilience. Write a story that inspires others to believe in themselves and to create a life that is worthy of their dreams. Thank you for listening to my story. If any part of this journey resonated with you, please remember this: you are not alone. You are not to blame, and you are not broken. Healing is possible, even if it takes time, even if the path isn't linear. There is strength in choosing yourself. There is freedom on the other side of fear. And there is a life beyond survival, a life of peace, purpose, and self-love. If you or someone you know is in a controlling or emotionally abusive relationship, please don't wait. Reach out. Speak up. You deserve support, safety, and healing. And if this story touched you, consider sharing it so others may recognize the signs, find their courage, and begin their own journey to freedom. Until next time, take care of yourself. Your health, your voice, your truth. They matter. Always.